The Southwest Priority Card is the highest tier personal credit card in Chase's Southwest credit card portfolio, and it's considered to be one of the most valuable card for Southwest flyers. But is it really? As someone who flies on Southwest Airlines frequently and is A-list preferred, that's what I thought as well. But after having this card myself, I decided that this card wasn't worth it and canceled the card only after having it for 18 months. And in this video, I'm going to explain why this card is really meant for a certain subset of Southwest flyers and why it may not be the card for you even if Southwest is your preferred airline. So I think it's important to start by taking a step back to understand why you'd want to get this card in the first place. The most common reason is that this is the highest tier personal credit card with Southwest Airlines, and so if you fly with them often, this should be the card to get. But when it comes to airline credit cards, the perks on these cards are usually quite different than hotel credit cards, which tend to be more valuable. With hotel credit cards, you can get free night awards and elevated hotel status. But with a few exceptions, airline credit cards typically do not offer free flights or elevated airline status. But what they do end up offering are a few major benefits that you typically expect, including priority boarding, free check bags, and lounge access on that particular airline's lounge network. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, Southwest does things differently when compared to its other US domestic airline counterparts, such as United, Delta, and American Airlines. First of all, Southwest does not have any of its own airport lounges, and second, you can get up to 2 free check bags with each Southwest flight, regardless of your status level with the airline. The boarding process is also different in that there is no assigned seating, and it's actually based off a system where the faster you check in at the 24-hour mark prior to your scheduled departure time, the better your boarding position. Of course, having Southwest Airlines status, purchasing a business select fare, or purchasing early boarding at the gate are all methods that you could use to get a better boarding position. And looking more closely at that early boarding purchase option, while the Southwest Priority Card does offer upgraded boarding, it only offers a limited number on the card. So you can see that these usual benefits on airline credit cards are either not covered or very loosely covered by the Southwest Priority Card, which is not entirely the fault of the card itself, but more because of how Southwest operates as an airline. But the card does have some positive things going for it as well, so let's take a moment to cover this card in more detail so we know exactly what we're working with. The Chase Southwest Priority Card has a current sign-up bonus offer of earning 50,000 points after spending $1,000 in purchases in the first 3 months from account opening. It earns 3x points back on Southwest purchases, 2x points back on Rapid Rewards hotel and car partners, transit, internet, cable, and phone services, and select streaming, and 1x points back on all other purchases. In terms of benefits, you get 7,500 points every year on your card member anniversary, a $75 Southwest annual travel credit, and 4 upgraded boardings per year. You also get 1,500 tier qualifying points towards A-list status for every $10,000 you spend on the card with no limit, 25% back on in-flight purchases, and 10,000 companion pass qualifying points each year. And of course, the card has no foreign transaction fees and comes with the travel and purchase protections that you'd expect from a mid-tier Chase travel credit card. So like I said before, Southwest does things differently than the other domestic US airlines, and this is also reflected in the Rapid Rewards tier status program. There are 2 tier status levels as well as the Companion Pass, where you can assign a companion to fly with you completely for free minus the required September 11th fee for up to 2 years, depending on when you qualify for this Companion Pass. And understanding these tier requirements will also help us understand the limitations of the Southwest Priority Card, so let's cover them briefly. There are 2 status tiers with Southwest Airlines, A-List and A-List Preferred. To make A-List, you'll need 25 one-way qualifying flights or 35,000 tier qualifying points, and if you want to make A-List Preferred, you'll need 50 one-way qualifying flights or 70,000 tier qualifying points. Now, I've had both statuses, and in my experience, there are 2 important differences between A-List and A-List Preferred. The first is that with A-List Preferred, you get free in-flight internet, which, by the way, lets you stream YouTube and is usually good enough to watch live streams during flights, which is pretty cool. And the second is that both A-List and A-List Preferred gets you priority boarding. And I want to cover this in a little more detail just in case you're unfamiliar with how boarding works with Southwest Airlines. With Southwest, there are 3 boarding groups, A, B, and C, and each group has 60 people in them, numbered A1 through A60, B1 through B60, and C1 through C60 in that order. The A1 through A15 boarding positions are reserved for business select fares as well as anyone who purchased early boarding. Every group after that is for general boarding, starting with A-list preferred, then A-list, then everybody else. And in my experience, A-list preferred usually gets you between A16 and A30, while A-list gets you around A30 to A50, depending on the popularity of the flight, and with all of these positions, you're pretty much guaranteed a window or aisle seat. But if you happen to do a same-day standby, you may end up getting a C boarding position, but with A-list and A-list preferred, members may board between the A and B boarding groups, regardless of what group they're assigned, which is also a nice perk. So that's the deal with priority boarding and how it works. But one other great benefit of the Rapid Rewards program is the Southwest Companion Pass, because if you can get this pass, you can bring a companion with you on any Southwest flight, basically for free. To get the Companion Pass, you'll need 100 qualifying one-way flights or 135,000 qualifying points, which is actually pretty hard to get through flying alone or just purchasing flights alone to get that point requirement. But by using credit card sign-up bonuses, you can rack up these points very quickly, and the Southwest Priority Card is a card that's great for this purpose, with its standard sign-up bonus offer of 50,000 points after spending $1,000 in 3 months. And by adding another Southwest business card, like the Southwest Performance, you could meet that 135,000 point requirement much faster than you think. Okay, so now we know more about the Southwest Priority Card and the Southwest Rapid Rewards program, including status tiers and the Companion Pass. So what's so bad about this card? Well, it turns out that this is not a great card if you're a frequent Southwest flyer like myself, and I'm going to cover a few reasons why this is the case. The first is that this card has incredibly weak multipliers, and I specifically want to focus on the 3x points back on Southwest flights, because realistically, to get the best value, you'd only put Southwest purchases on this card anyways. As the Southwest Priority Card is a card from Chase Bank, I think it'd be helpful to compare this card to the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Now, the Chase Sapphire Reserve gets you 3x Ultimate Rewards points back on general travel, which is comparable to the 3x points back on Southwest purchases on the Southwest Priority Card. But of course, the CSR has the better multiplier because, first of all, it's for general travel, and second of all, that multiplier earns Ultimate Rewards points, which could be turned into Rapid Rewards points or any other points for that matter in Chase's transfer partner system, while Southwest points are literally just Southwest points. And yes, I know the CSR has a higher annual fee at $550 compared to the $149 annual fee on the Priority Card, but I'm really only focusing on the specific multiplier itself. Now, with other cards such as the Amex Platinum Card, we can get 5x membership rewards points back on flights that are booked directly with the airline. So if you have this card and you use it for that 5x multiplier, not only do you get a higher multiplier for your flights, but you also get points that are more valuable, which are membership rewards points in this case. For that reason, it's no surprise that when I got my Amex Platinum card, I canceled my Southwest Priority Card soon after, since the multiplier on the Amex Platinum for that flight category was so much better. But okay, the Southwest Priority Card is more than just multipliers, it's actually got some pretty nice benefits too, but they're not as good when it comes to someone who flies Southwest frequently. Take for example the $75 Southwest annual travel credit. Yes, it does lower the annual fee of $149 to an effective annual fee of $74, but if you have a card like the Amex Platinum, you wouldn't really use a Southwest Priority Card to purchase flight anyways, as we mentioned before. So with this benefit, it actually forces you to spend on the card in a way where you normally wouldn't do so in the first place. Likewise, the benefit that gets you 4 early boardings is not that helpful if you already have a status with Southwest Airlines. Remember that A-List usually gets you into the A25 through A40 boarding position, and A-List Preferred gets you somewhere between A16 through A25. Well, with upgrading boarding, you can get into the A1 through A15 boarding position, which would be great if you didn't have status, but if you do, it's just not that big of an upgrade. So let's recap so we can clearly see why this card is not for frequent Southwest flyers. We have the Southwest Priority Card with a $149 annual fee with a 3x multiplier, an annual travel credit that wouldn't be helpful if you use the Amex Platinum card or Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and 4 upgraded boardings that don't bring us any benefit if we already have a good boarding position because we are already A-List or A-List Preferred. Oh, and don't forget that Southwest also gives everyone 2 free check bags as well, which is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but this doesn't help us get any more value when it comes to holding the Southwest Priority Card. Okay, so now that we've talked about who this card is not for, let's talk about who could benefit from having this card, since this card can be a great fit for the right person. And in my opinion, that person would be someone who's an occasional Southwest traveler and does not have any status with the airline itself. This person could be a solo traveler or even a part of a family who takes 1 to 2 Southwest trips per year. With only a few trips, that $75 will go a long way when you book your Southwest flight on your Southwest Priority card. And the 7,500 points you get every year on your card member anniversary would also be helpful as well. If we use TPG's point valuation of 1.4 cents per point, we're looking at a value of about $100 that we could use to book a one-way flight, or if we're really good about it, a round-trip itinerary using 2 $49 wanna get away fares. Now maybe you don't fit into that category, but maybe you have a lot of travel planned for the next year or two. In this situation, getting the companion pass may be the best option so you can save a lot of money on airfare. I made a recent video specifically on the best strategy to get the companion pass, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'll leave a link to it up top as well as down in the description below. But briefly, the Southwest Priority card and the Southwest Performance Business card are the two cards you can use to get the companion pass using their sign-up bonuses. So if you're planning to go for the Southwest Companion Pass, this card is a great option. Another reason to get this card is if you just wanted a Southwest card as part of your secondary setup. I described how the secondary setup fits into your overall credit card portfolio strategy in another video, so make sure to check that out if you haven't already, but this setup is your collection of cards that you keep specifically for the benefits. And again, if you only fly Southwest occasionally and have no status with Southwest, you can truly make use of the Southwest credits and benefits on the Priority card, including the 4 upgraded boardings you get each year. Another topic that's important to cover is whether or not you should consider getting the other Southwest personal credit cards instead of the Southwest Priority card. And in my opinion, that answer would be no. The Southwest credit card portfolio, both on the personal side and the business side, doesn't come with a no annual fee option. So once you get a Southwest card, you're stuck with the card and its annual fee until you decide to cancel it. The lowest tier card is the Southwest Plus card with a $69 annual fee, with the mid-tier option being the Southwest Premier card with a $99 annual fee. But when you look at the benefits of these two cards and compare it to the top tier Southwest Priority card, it becomes very clear that the Priority card is the best value of the three, mainly because of the statement credits and benefits that we've discussed earlier. And since you can only have one of these cards at a time, and the sign-up bonus on each of these cards is exactly the same, the Southwest Priority card is the only personal Southwest card that I'd consider to get, if anything at all. So that's the big problem with the Southwest Priority card. At first glance, it seems like the go-to card for the frequent Southwest traveler, but as we've just discussed, having higher tier status with Southwest Airlines, as well as having other premium travel cards, really make the Southwest Priority card less useful and valuable than it really should be. And this is why I only recommend this card for those who only travel on Southwest occasionally. But there are definitely other certain use cases for this card that can get you a lot of value, like getting the Southwest Companion Pass. And to see how you can maximize this amazing benefit in the best way possible, check out this video next.